The story begins on a small, quiet island in Scotland. Everything is about to change. We meet young Jimmy, who is watching TV with his cousins and sisters. The children look uneasy, sensing the adults' anxiety. Jimmy's aunt enters the room, leaves her daughter there, and tells the children to stay quiet and lock themselves in. Terrifying noises echo through the house, and someone starts banging on the door. Jimmy quickly gets up to check, asking if it's his father, but the knocking grows louder until several infected people break in. Everyone is brutally slaughtered before Jimmy's eyes, and he runs for his life. He finds his mother in another room. She tells him to escape, but she is attacked as well. Jimmy runs to the church where his father is a priest. On the way, he encounters more infected charging at him. The boy pounds on the church door until it finally opens, and inside he sees his father kneeling before the cross. Jimmy approaches, saying that his whole family is dead, and asks what is happening. His father replies that they are not dead but freed, and speaks of Judgment Day. There is no time to explain further as the infected are breaking into the church. He hands Jimmy his rosary. While Jimmy hides, his father surrenders himself to the infected as a form of liberation, and is soon transformed as well. From his hiding place, Jimmy wonders why his father abandoned him, then runs away. 28 years later, on another isolated island, a community of people lives in quarantine from the outside world. We meet one of the residents, Jamie, who tells his son, Spike, that today will be his first day on guard duty. The people live peacefully on the island, safe from the infected, surviving by fishing and raising livestock. Spike gets ready for the hunt, comes down for a meal, and his father asks if he has brought all the necessary gear. While they eat, Spike's mother drops her food onto the floor. She has been infected but has not yet fully transformed. She struggles between rational thought and murderous instinct. Jamie goes to check on her, and Spike follows. Isla is happy to see her son and even remembers a few things, calling him baby, and asking why he hasn't gone to school. Jamie explains that today is Spike's first day to hunt, which makes Isla furious. She insists that Spike is still just a child and must not be taken to his death. Jamie reminds her that they had already discussed this, but Isla doesn't remember and accuses him of being a killer. Spike tries to calm his mother, but she forgets everything again. He gently comforts her, covers her with a blanket, and gives her a piece of bacon he had saved from breakfast, saying goodbye while lying that he is going to school. Spike then meets a man named Sam, to whom he gives a bow. Sam teaches him how to use it, while Jamie urges his son to hurry. The two set off toward the mainland, and the villagers regard them as heroes for taking such a risk. Before they cross the bridge, the gatekeeper warns Spike that once on the mainland, he will be on his own, and there will be no rescue if he gets lost. Spike agrees, and Jenny asks the watchman in the tower about the situation. He replies that all is clear. Jenny opens the passage, and they begin to cross. Jamie asks his son about the hunt, and Spike explains that the passage can only be crossed at low tide. They reach the other side and enter the forest. At the top of a hill, Spike is awestruck by the vastness of the land and asks if, by walking far enough, they will find something beyond the sea. Jamie answers no, that only the infected are out there, and their village is the safest place. As they continue, Jamie hears a suspicious noise, and they freeze for a few minutes before moving on. Soon, they spot their first infected, a fat, slow one. Jamie sees this as a good chance for Spike to kill his first infected. However, he warns that being slow doesn't mean harmless and explains that if there's one, more are likely hiding nearby. This makes Spike anxious, but his father tells him to aim for the creature's neck to kill it. Despite his fear, Spike prepares to shoot, but they fail to notice another infected crawling up from behind. Spike looses an arrow, making the infected scream and alerting others. The one behind them reveals itself, but Jamie swiftly kills it with his bow. Their problems are only beginning, however, as more infected start to gather. An infected child appears, and Jamie cannot bring himself to kill her, allowing her to escape. He praises Spike for his earlier shot but warns that they need to move quickly, as the cries will draw more infected. They leave the area and, in a clearing, spot a herd of deer. Jamie also notices an abandoned house nearby and prepares to investigate. Spike grips his bow tightly as they cautiously approach the house. Jamie opens the door, and they nearly jump out of their skins when a fox darts out. Jamie remarks that the place must have been searched already but says it's still worth checking. They begin to search but find nothing of value. Just as they are about to leave, they hear a noise from one of the rooms. Investigating, they discover a man hanging upside down, his body covered in strange markings. Terrified, Spike tries to look away, but his father tells him to watch and learn. Jamie approaches the man, who suddenly stirs, startling them both. Spike asks why he is like that, and Jamie explains that he was left as bait for the infected and eventually became infected himself. Spike cannot understand why anyone would do something so cruel. Jamie theorizes that it might have been punishment or a warning, then explains why their island is so valuable. Spike asks if that is the lesson, but Jamie replies no, the real lesson is to eliminate the infected before them. Spike hesitates, questioning whether it's the right thing to do, but Jamie insists the man is already dead inside. He urges Spike to finish him. Still uncertain, Spike delays until the infected breaks free. In a sudden burst of courage, Spike reacts just in time and kills him. Meanwhile, back in the village, the children learn about life in the past while others train to fight the infected. Back in the forest, Jamie notices blood on some leaves and follows the trail until they find the carcass of a deer. He explains that the infected responsible are faster than the ones they fought before. Spike is disgusted and nearly vomits, while his father laughs at his reaction. Spike walks away and discovers the deer's skull nailed to a tree, then calls for his father. A flashback reveals who was responsible, and Jamie warns that they are facing an alpha. Anxious, Jamie says it is time to return to the village, but Spike refuses, fearing he will be called a coward. Even so, his father assures him that the mission is complete since Spike has already taken down 2 creatures. Jamie surveys the plain before they move forward and begin the journey back, but suddenly he spots an infected on the hill. He orders Spike to stay silent. Soon, more infected appear and the alpha emerges. Jamie immediately orders a retreat into the forest while the alpha commands his followers to pursue them. Father and son run through the trees, chased by enemies, until Jamie proposes a counterattack, saying he will strike the first while Spike must finish the second. Jamie manages to do his part. But Spike, overwhelmed by fear, misses his shot. Even so, Jamie takes out another and tells them to keep fleeing. Jamie stops again so they can use their training tactics, but Spike misses once more and more infected appear. They have no choice but to run. They reach an abandoned house and quickly rush inside, with Jamie telling Spike to go upstairs while he confronts one of the monsters. Another infected appears and Jamie tells his son to open the attic door. He tries to help Spike climb up, but more enemies arrive, forcing them into battle. Jamie eliminates them and the 2 hide in the attic while the creatures circle the house. In the village, the women prepare a celebration for Spike's achievements, unaware of the dangers father and son are facing. Night falls and the 2 remain trapped in the attic with the alpha lurking outside. Jamie explains that alphas are different from the other infected, larger, stronger, and more intelligent. Spike asks what they will do, and Jamie says they will do anything except face him directly. He realizes their arrows are gone, but assures Spike it doesn't matter much since he has seen an alpha struck by dozens of arrows without bleeding. Feeling guilty, Spike apologizes for missing his shots, but his father reassures him, saying he did well for his first time. Curious, Spike peers through the cracks in the attic and sees a distant glow of fire. He asks what it could be, and Jamie admits he does not know, saying he has never ventured that far across the island. Later, Spike falls asleep and begins to have nightmares about his mother, who is drowning and crying out for help. In the dream, everything begins to shake and collapse. Jamie quickly wakes his son and warns that they must leave immediately as the old house is starting to fall apart. They manage to escape, and Jamie says they must hurry because the infected will arrive soon. Spike asks how they will cross the tide, and Jamie explains they still have a chance since the water is still somewhat low. Jamie instructs his son to move silently and if he sees the alpha, to run straight to the sea without stopping. They soon start running and reach the top of the mountain. Jamie scans the area for the alpha, but he is nowhere in sight. He then tells Spike they still have a chance since the water is shallow. They arrive at the beach and Jamie is relieved because the water only reaches their calves. Removing their boots, they start wading across, but the alpha appears at the top of the mountain and charges after them. Jamie and Spike are almost there, and Jamie laughs with joy. They don't even notice the danger approaching. As the alpha charges, a swarm of bats flies past, and only then do they realize the threat. They look back and see the monster closing in. Jamie shouts for Spike to run without looking back. They sprint forward, but Spike falls into a hole as the alpha nears. Jamie manages to pull his son out and they keep running. The guards in the watchtower are asleep as Jamie yells for them to open the gates. Soon, everyone snaps to alert and begins to prepare. One man switches on a light and gets ready to fire while another struggles to open the gates. They shoot the alpha, knocking it down, but the beast lets out a furious roar and charges again. The alpha is nearly upon them when the guards fire a flaming spear that pierces its chest. In the village, the celebration is underway, and no one suspects the danger. Jamie begs Jenny to open the gates, but she refuses, thinking they are infected. Jamie pleads with her to look into their eyes, and she finally opens the passage. Spike and his father enter the festivities, and Jamie begins boasting about how his son killed 2 infected, but Spike looks uneasy. He feels unworthy of such praise, believing himself a coward, and tries to stop his drunken father. Nevertheless, Spike is given the title of Giant Slayer, and everyone celebrates his victory. Jamie leaves with a woman to cheat on his wife. Meanwhile, Spike, who has also been drinking, feels sick and goes outside to vomit. He sees his father with the other woman and decides to follow them. He learns her name is Rosie, Jamie's mistress, and trails them to a cave where he witnesses his father's betrayal. Furious, he storms off and returns home, where he finds Sam asleep in the living room. He asks about his mother and if she is all right. Sam explains that she had done many things that day, even walking to the beach. He says that without the crisis, Spike's mother would have a perfect life. Sam asks what is troubling the boy, and Spike calls his father a liar, revealing that he made it seem as if he were the hero of the story. Sam does not judge him and instead comforts Spike. Spike confides that during his trip to the mainland, he saw many new things, including fire, which piques Sam's curiosity. He then reveals it might be the work of a man named Kelson and is shocked to learn that he is still alive. Sam explains that Kelson was once a family doctor. Spike says his father told him all doctors were dead and gone from the world, insisting that Jamie had lied. Sam suggests that perhaps Jamie never mentioned Kelson because the doctor is somewhat strange. We then see brief scenes of Kelson carrying firewood for a bonfire. Sam urges Spike to return to the party, but he refuses, saying he will stay and take care of his mother. Sam bids him farewell and leaves. Spike enters his mother's room, lies down beside her, and whispers that everyone is lying. The next day, his mother wakes him up to ask for medicine because of a headache but quickly gives up. Jamie comes home and lies down with them. Spike, still disappointed in his father, leaves the room without saying much. The boy cries behind the door, and Jamie feels unsettled by his son's behavior. While making coffee, Spike confronts him, asking why he never told him there was a doctor who could help his mother. Jamie tries to lie, saying there are no doctors left in the world, but Spike mentions Kelson. Jamie asks where he heard that name and blames Sam for filling his son's head with nonsense, saying Kelson used to be a doctor but is now just a madman. Spike insists, asking whether he is a doctor or not. Jamie then begins to tell a story from before Spike was born, about how their group used to travel far to look for supplies. One day, a group approached Kelson's territory and smelled death. He explains that they were already used to that smell, but this time it was different, almost tangible. As he tells the story, we see a flashback of when they encountered Kelson, who was gathering corpses to burn. Jamie says Kelson waved at them from a hill, as if calling them closer. They were so terrified that they ran away and, for 15 years, no one ever went back there. Spike stays quiet for a moment before asking if his father actually wants his mother to die. Shocked, Jamie asks what he means. Spike bombards him with questions and even mentions Rosie, which makes Jamie furious. In his anger, he slaps his son. Hurt, Spike pulls back and goes to his suffering mother. He comforts her and apologizes for being unable to help. Jamie comes upstairs offering to get the medicine, but Spike pushes him away and warns him not to come closer. The boy pulls out a knife, but Jamie quickly takes it from him. Spike then sets fire to the barn and alerts the guards. As they leave their posts to deal with the fire, Spike uses the chance to escape with his mother toward the mainland. They cross a bridge and reach the shore, where they find an abandoned town. Realizing they've reached the mainland, his mother panics and calls for Jamie, but Spike tells her he isn't there and that he will protect her now. Determined, Spike and his mother set out to find a doctor from the past. Isla asks if something is wrong with her, but Spike tells her to stay calm because the doctor will help. Their journey begins in search of Kelson. Passing through different places, Isla grows tired and asks to rest, so Spike lets her sleep in an empty house while he keeps watch. A few hours later, a bloated infected sneaks up on him. Nearly asleep, Spike doesn't notice until the creature starts pulling at his shoelaces and attacks. Just before it kills him, Spike wakes up and sees the monster already dead. Confused, he asks what happened, but his mother doesn't know either. Spike warns they must leave quickly. Isla, still shaken, experiences flashbacks of the night before but doesn't understand how she managed to kill the infected. They continue their journey. In another flashback, we see soldiers fleeing from an Alpha-led horde. Some are wounded and turn. Their comrades kill the infected and run into a tunnel, but the Alpha still finds and kills them. Back in the present, Spike and Isla walk through a flower field. Isla sees a jet trail in the sky and, hallucinating, calls Spike father. Spike is confused. She continues muttering through memories until her nose bleeds. Regaining clarity, she collapses, and while Spike cleans her, an infected appears behind him. He shoots it with his bow, blood splattering on his mother. Terrified she might be infected, he wipes her down frantically, but the creature's dying screams attract more. They flee. Spike kills one along the way, but more appear. Eventually, they find an abandoned outpost covered in blue mist. Spike forces open a locked door and finds gas inside. With no choice, they enter, but so do the infected. Surrounded and hopeless, a soldier suddenly appears above them, shooting and triggering an explosion that kills the infected. The soldier introduces himself as Eric. Isla, weak with pain, is carried by him after Spike explains they're looking for a doctor. Eric asks where they came from and why the infected keep appearing. Spike admits it might be because of the infected he killed earlier. Eric scolds him, warning that such noise could attract more alphas and doom them all. Eric then shares his story. He once lived in Sweden, served in the Navy, and during a mission his ship sank. Trying to survive, he ended up stranded here, where he encountered the creatures. Spike invites him to join them once his mother is treated. Eric asks where the doctor is, and Spike points toward the smoke. Later, Eric shows Spike some technology, explaining what a cell phone is. Isla keeps hallucinating, calling Spike father, confusing Eric. Spike explains she's not always like this. At one point, she asks who Eric is, and he introduces himself as her husband's friend, making Spike laugh at the absurdity. On the road again, they follow Isla to an abandoned train after hearing noises. Inside, they find a pregnant infected woman about to give birth. Isla insists on helping her. When the baby is delivered, Eric aims to shoot it, saying it's a zombie. But Spike notices the baby doesn't seem infected. Before Eric can fire, more infected, including an alpha, attack. In the chaos, Spike tells his mother to run while he fights back. As they're about to be killed, a man appears, tranquilizes the alpha, and reveals himself to be Dr. Kelson. Spike begs for his help, and Kelson brings them to his base. That night, Kelson examines Isla. He suspects advanced brain cancer and admits there's no cure. Isla says she already knew but didn't know how to tell her son. Spike breaks down, asking if his mother will suffer. Isla comforts him, telling him to be brave. Kelson then sedates Spike and, with Isla's consent, euthanizes her to end her pain. He gives Spike her skull to place on a memorial pillar. Soon after, an alpha attacks their hideout. They manage to immobilize it with an injection, and Kelson urges Spike to return home with the baby. Spike names her Isla, after his mother. Leaving a letter for his father, he promises to care for Isla but insists Jamie not look for him. As Jamie reads the letter in tears, Spike is ambushed by infected. Cornered, he fights but nearly loses until a man named Jimmy appears with a group. They rescue him, and Spike recognizes Jimmy by the cross his father once gave him when he was a child. The film ends with Jimmy inviting Spike to join his group. The moral of this story is that true courage is found in protecting the ones you love, especially when the world crumbles around you. It also reminds us that even amid despair and loss, acts of compassion and sacrifice can forge unlikely alliances and ignite hope in the bleakest of times. If you like this video, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and see you in the next video.